In January, we did my annual 31 Days to a More Effective Compliance program where we looked at one thing you could do each day. Well, we're back with the Compliance Tip of the Day. This is the podcast where we bring you daily insights and practical advice on navigating the ever-evolving landscape of compliance requirements. Whether you're a seasoned compliance professional or just starting your journey, my aim in this podcast is to provide you with a bite-sized, actionable tip to help you stay on top of your compliance game. In the chaotic world of 2025 and beyond, compliance will become even more important, and you staying on top of your game will help your company move forward. Now a word from the sponsor of the Compliance Podcast Network, Ethico.
If you're a compliance officer, middle managers are crucial in getting your programs from you to your frontline employees. But how do we activate those managers and get them on our side? Ethico's new Middle Manager Toolkit equips you with the skills needed to empower your managers, to promote a culture where ethical behavior thrives and employees feel empowered to speak up. Learn how to turn frontline managers into ethical leaders with our new white paper, Empowering Middle Managers as Ethics Champions. And did I mention you can get the whole toolkit for free? Head to ethico.com to download the full toolkit today.
We continue our tips this week on how you can up your compliance game by looking at compliance ethics and your supply chain. Have you ever stopped to consider the human rights abuses at the root of products we use every day, from solar panels to computer screens? The exploitation of the Uyghur minority in China is a painful reality that was hidden from the West for too long. Compliance professionals must now confront this head on, ensuring their organizations not only meet the still regulatory requirements, but also uphold ethical business practices. The UFLPA represented a turning point in corporate responsibility. This legislation required companies doing business in whole or in part in the Zhejiang province to take a critical look at the assets they were obtaining. So companies had to conduct thorough supply chain audits, require suppliers to provide clear documentation to provide ethical sourcing, leverage technology to improve transparency, engage with third parties. Now this has been really expanded for simply not things such as the pandemic, but with the current chaos generated by the Trump administration in terms of their tariffs, you need to look at alternative sources of supply. Beyond geographic diversity, businesses must rethink their sourcing strategies to ensure sustainability and security. Investing in alternative materials and innovative technologies can do so. So what are some of the other things you can do? Well, one of the things that Trump has advocated is reshoring. So can you bring your manufacturing back to the United States so that hopefully the tariffs that Trump has imposed won't impact you too much? What about nearshoring? Obviously, the Trump attacks on Canada and Mexico make this somewhat problematic. Nevertheless, you may have an opportunity to bring things closer to you that will help you going forward. But it's this mandate for ethical supply chains driven by the Uyghur Forced Labor Prevention Act, which I think is going to drive the innovations for supply chain and why compliance needs to really lead this discussion. By taking these steps, companies can move beyond reactive compliance and become proactive leaders in ethical business practices. The future of corporate supply chains must be built on transparency, sustainability, and respect for human rights. So what are today's three key takeaways? Number one, the Uyghur Forced Labor Prevention Act requires a human rights strategies. Two, have you assessed your risks in China, and are you still doing business there? Finally, take a look at alternative sources, alternative opportunities for sourcing. This can be other geographic areas outside the United States. It can be nearshoring to the United States, or it can be reshoring in the United States to hopefully buffet the trade winds. This is Tom Fox again. This new podcast, Compliance Tip of the Day, will appear daily. And frankly, it's one of the most requested topics for a podcast that I get on a regular basis. It's going to be Short and sweet with one tip with some takeaways that you can utilize to implement into your compliance program. If you've got a question that you would like a tip on, please submit them through our website, and we will use them in an upcoming episode. The compliance tip of the day is a production of the award-winning Compliance Podcast Network. Finally, this podcast contains promotional material.